Have you ever wondered what happens when the prey doesn't just fight back, but evolves into something worse than its predators? It was supposed to be quick, efficient, merciful even. The Galactic Council voted 312 to 7 for the extermination order. Earth had refused integration into the Galactic Collective, had violated embargo protocols, had shown, according to the Chair of Interstellar Stability, an unwillingness to abandon its savage instincts. The decision was final. 12 fleets, over 1,000 capital ships. The bombardment lasted exactly 7 minutes. No atmosphere left. Oceans boiled. Crust shattered. A blue world turned black. The galaxy moved on. The Council held a moment of silence. Then, as always, resumed session. Protocols had been followed. A report was filed. Case closed. Until, exactly 29 days later, a signal emerged. Weak, broken, bouncing between relay buoys, scavenged debris, and dead satellites. The message was short. 8 words. We survive. We remember. We are coming. At first, they laughed. Then they tried to locate the source. But the origin was fragmented. Every time they traced it, the source shifted. It was like the message wasn't being transmitted, but grown through the very dust left behind. The Council dismissed it as a glitch, a trick of gravitational echo, a warlord's hoax, but Admiral Jethel of the Zelari fleet, who had personally overseen the final orbital strike, retired that day. No statement, no explanation. Just left his post and disappeared. Something was off. Deep space listening posts began to fail. A monitoring station orbiting the gas giant Hirat 9 reported movement inside the sun. The last image received showed a dark silhouette hovering in solar plasma. Then, silence. Mining outposts near the edge of Terran space vanished. Entire asteroid belts left stripped clean. No wreckage, no distress beacons, just silence and a faint, pulsing frequency. 7 minutes. By the time anyone took it seriously, 2 member races had already abandoned the Council entirely. They claimed ghost ships haunted their space. Ships made of Terran alloy, fused with alien tech no one recognized. No engines, no emissions. And yet they moved, faster than light, against gravity, through shields. What the galaxy didn't know was this. Earth hadn't died. It had adapted. Beneath the ash and scorched mantle, bunkers 3 miles deep had sealed shut as the first orbital strikes fell. Within them, scientists, engineers, hackers, soldiers, thinkers, survivors. What emerged from the ruin wasn't a government. It wasn't a nation. It was a memory. A collective, living vengeance. No flags, no commanders. Just purpose. They didn't build fleets. They became myths. The last transmission, intercepted by Council Command before their long-range array was sabotaged, read, "We know who signed the vote. We know where your children sleep. You burned our sky in 7 minutes. We'll take our time." The Council demanded answers, but no one answered. Because by then, no one trusted anyone. And on the far side of the galaxy, deep within a moon believed to be uninhabitable, a human child opened her eyes for the first time. She did not cry. She listened to the signal and smiled. The disappearances weren't random. First came the quiet colonies, those on the fringes, far from core systems. No alarms, no distress calls, just absence. Entire planets emptied overnight. Crops left mid-harvest. Meals still hot on tables. Children's toys floating in silent gravity. The only clue left behind was the same each time. A mark, scorched into alloy walls or scratched into the soil by unknown tools. For Earth. At first, the Council thought it was an insurgent cell. Rogue mercenaries. Pirates using the myth of Terran revenge to cloak resource raids. But then came the patterns. Each vanished colony belonged to one of the 12 voting races, the very ones who had signed Earth's death order. And each had a link, a name, a descendant, a signature. This was no myth. This was precision. Surveillance fleets were dispatched. Each time they reported in, once, just once. After that, only static, except for one. A Zarthan cruiser, Lance of Will, managed to send one last transmission before vanishing beyond the Idrak Rift. The feed was corrupted, but a single frame was recovered. A human figure standing in open vacuum, no suit, no tether, hands behind its back, eyes glowing silver. The crew began screaming before the image cut. The ship was never found. Panic spread, slowly at first. Council leaders held press conferences. "This is under control," they lied. "No evidence of Terran survivors exists," they repeated. But the people knew better. Because the stories started coming in. From deep miners on sulfuric moons who heard voices whispering coordinates in Terran English. From traders who spotted black ships hovering just beyond scanner range, vanishing if pursued. From children across dozens of worlds who began drawing Earth in their sleep, though none had ever seen it. The Council tried to suppress it, but they were too late. Across the galaxy, whispers spread like rot. The humans didn't die. They changed. They remember. In secret, 2 Council races deployed bio-trackers to find and eliminate any remaining humans. Both tracker ships disappeared. When they were recovered months later, the crews were alive, but silent. Eyes burned out. Tongues removed. One had carved a message into his own skin. "They didn't kill us. They taught us what pain means." The Council finally convened an emergency summit, but one member was absent, the Raksari Chancellor. She was found in her private shuttle, drifting just outside the orbit of her homeworld. No signs of forced entry. Every bone in her body had been cleanly broken, in alphabetical order of her Council vote archives. Etched into the viewport, in blood, were 2 words, 7 minutes. From that day on, the remaining Council members stopped using that number. They called it the interval. The public never knew. But the fleets knew. The admirals knew. And in quiet, terrified corners of space, soldiers began whispering, "They aren't fighting a war. They're rewriting the rules." And somewhere, unseen, untraced, the humans kept watching. Not to strike. Not yet. They were learning. Waiting. Becoming. They had once ruled half the galaxy. 12 races, proud, ancient, united under the grand edicts of the Galactic Council. For millennia, their word was law, their fleets unmatched, their influence woven into the fabric of every known civilization. Now, they hid behind shields and silence. The Council wasn't broken yet, but it was fracturing. First to fall were the alliances. Centuries-old treaties suddenly reinterpreted, trade convoys rerouted, joint military exercises quietly cancelled. No one said it aloud, but every species was asking the same question. Will the humans come for us next? Because they weren't attacking in ways the Council could counter. They didn't send fleets. They didn't declare war. They unwound the galaxy. Logistics hubs, shut down by phantom code buried in firmware no one could trace. Terraforming stations, overridden remotely and turned into volcanic graves. Stargates, imploded mid-jump, erasing thousands in a blink. Each time, no warning. Each time, a message burned into the wreckage. "This is mercy. You taught us none." And the worst part? They weren't killing indiscriminately. They were choosing, precisely, personally. The Drellmark's bank director who once profited from Terran embargoes? Found encased in a frozen asteroid belt, lungs crystallized mid-breath? The Zalari admiral who laughed during the Earth's extermination? found fused to his command chair, heartbeat still echoing, 9 years after death. The Council tried to spin it. Unrelated terrorist attacks, internal dissidents, cosmic anomalies. But their own people no longer believed them. Riots broke out on Zir, revolution on Thessa Prime. Entire populations demanded answers. Instead, they got silence, because no one had answers. The Council met in secret, high orbit, no networks, bio-locked chambers. Inside, chaos. Accusations flew. Suspicions rose. Each species believed the others were hiding secret pacts with the humans. Some probably were. One representative, a younger member from the Kothari delegation, finally stood and shouted what they were all thinking. We were never gods. We just forgot Earth had teeth. The room went still. And then the lights dimmed. Every display screen, every data pad, every embedded retinal interface hijacked. A single video began to play. Footage from Earth, before the destruction. A father teaching his child to ride a bike. A woman holding her lover's face as rockets fell in the distance. A rescue dog dragging 3 children out of rubble. A classroom of laughing kids as their teacher clutches a trembling mug. Then, fire. Screams. Silence. Black screen. And then the words, "You saw us only as threat. But we were 1,000 things more. We remember what we were. We see what you are. This is not revenge. This is justice. And it has only just begun." When the feed ended, none of the delegates spoke. One simply stood, removed his translator chip, and walked out. The Council never met again. Not truly, because by then they all understood. The war was never about weapons. It was about memory, and humanity remembered everything. They called it the last session. Not officially. No proclamation. No anthem. Just a quiet message sent across surviving council channels. Closed-door tribunal. For internal resolution. Attendance mandatory. It took place aboard Veritas Spire, a fortified station orbiting the dying star of Naharzul, a neutral location. Dead system. All communications sealed. 6 members arrived. Only 6. The rest had either vanished or gone silent forever. They sat in a circle of obsidian and light, guarded by quantum barriers and genetic security fields, surrounded by the last fragments of what had once been galactic civilization. No one spoke at first, until the Cathari representative, voice hoarse, fingers twitching, asked the only question that mattered. Why haven't they finished us? No answer came, not from the delegates, not from the dark, until footsteps echoed in the chamber. Soft, slow, human. One man, no weapons, no armor, just simple gray clothing, boots worn thin, and a small black box in his hands. The guards moved to intercept, then froze mid-step. Muscles locked, systems offline, eyes wide with something deeper than fear. He walked into the circle, set the box down, and looked at them. One by one, his voice was calm, too calm. I am not a soldier, not a leader. I was a systems engineer from what you called the Siberian sector. My daughter died in the second minute. She was 5. Silence. He opened the box. A faint broken sound escaped. A child's scream, then static. He closed it, then smiled, and it was worse than a threat. For 7 minutes, you believed you had ended us. But we don't measure time in minutes anymore. We measure it in names. He stepped back. A screen behind him lit up. 12 columns, thousands of rows, names, faces, locations, actions, all logged, all remembered. One by one, the names of every individual who had authorized, enabled, or profited from Earth's extermination. We did not destroy your worlds. You did that with your fear. We did not erase your treaties. You shattered them with silence. We only revealed the truth. The delegates begged, pleaded. Some cursed him. One tried to lunge, froze midair, suspended like a puppet, then dropped like a stone. The human didn't flinch. This is not a negotiation, not a performance. This is judgment, and not by your laws, by ours. From the void outside the station, dozens of black ships emerged. No lights, no engines, silent as thought. They didn't fire. They simply watched, waiting. "We won't rule," the man said. "We're not here to replace your council. That's your mistake to fix. But every single being who raised a hand against us will know our justice." He turned to leave, paused. "Do not teach your children we were monsters. Teach them we were memory. Because we never forget." He vanished through the shadows. The black ships followed. And the star above the station, once dim, flared briefly, as if acknowledging the truth. Humanity had not become gods. We had become consequence.